Okay, this is a very straightforward video. It's about Joe Rogan on his podcast. He had Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook or Meta as a guest. It was a very interesting conversation. It goes for hours and hours. Now, Zuckerberg talking to Joe Rogan, they were discussing the big tech censorship, and especially when it came to the 2020 election in America, Joe Biden, and the stories about Hunter Biden's laptop, which at the time they were seen as, oh, it's a fake news. But Hunter Biden doesn't even have a laptop, apparently. And then we found out then that was not genuine from the big tech, did the censorship. Now, Twitter completely banned and blocked people. Facebook didn't completely do it, but Facebook algorithm basically did shadow banning. That the stories didn't really get to the top of the news feed. Now, Mark Zuckerberg finally admits that's what they did. I'm going to show you this video, and I'm going to come back and actually analyze a couple of things that Zuckerberg said that I agree with. Some of them, it's absolutely idiotic.
How do you guys handle things when they're a big news item that's controversial? Like there was a lot of attention on Twitter during the election because of the Hunter Biden laptop story. The New York Post.
Yeah, we had that too.
Yeah, so you guys censored that as well?
So we took a different path than Twitter. Basically the background here is the FBI, I think, basically came to us, some folks on our team, and was like, hey, just so you know, like you should be on high alert. We thought that there was a lot of Russian propaganda in the 2016 election. We have it on notice that basically there's about to be some kind of dump of that's similar to that. So just be vigilant. So our protocol is different from Twitter's. What Twitter did is they said you can't share this at all. We didn't do that. What we do is we have if something is reported to us as potentially misinformation, important misinformation, we also have this third-party fact-checking program because we don't want to be deciding what's true and false. And for I think it was 5 or 7 days when it was basically being determined whether it was false, the distribution on Facebook was decreased, but people were still allowed to share it. So you could still share it, you could still consume it.
So when you say the distribution is decreased,
it got shared.
How does that work?
It basically, the ranking in newsfeed was a little bit less. So fewer people saw it than would have otherwise. So it definitely...
By what percentage?
I don't know off the top of my head, but it's meaningful. But basically, a lot of people were still able to share it. We got a lot of complaints that was the case. Obviously this is a hyper-political issue, so depending on what side of the political spectrum, you either think we didn't censor it enough or censored it way too much. But we weren't sort of as black and white about it as Twitter. We just kind of thought, hey, look, if the FBI, which I still view as a legitimate institution in this country, it's like very professional law enforcement, if they come to us and tell us that we need to be on guard about something, then I want to take that seriously.
Did they specifically say you need to be on guard about that story?
No, I don't remember if it was that specifically, but it basically fit the pattern.
Okay, quite interesting. All right, first things first, at the end of the video, the last question, that was different to the rest of it, because that was a moment when Zuckerberg is like, oh, okay, so no, not that story. Maybe, I can't remember. You should remember, because that was a big topic, and clearly you guys had a big meeting, so you would remember. There was a reason, because especially when it comes to that last question, and when he gave a compliment to the FBI, saying, of course it's a legitimate organization, it kind of makes you think, metaphorically, that there's a red dot on his forehead. And he's like, yes, yeah, I love the FBI. Because it just makes you think that his hands are tied. But on the other side, it was good that he basically confessed and admitted that even Facebook did those things. I don't, obviously for rivalry reasons, he was defensive, saying, well, at least we weren't Twitter completely banned. He's right. So that was just about his own rivals and different companies. The rest of it was that he basically already said at the beginning of the video that the FBI put pressure on them. So, and the issue here is that you're big tech and you go hand in hand with big government. So you could say, well, Mark Zuckerberg, why didn't you ignore them? Well, maybe they might have been in trouble. Maybe they would have stopped receiving all the help from big government. maybe he would have disappeared. Or maybe he was actually in favor of it, right? So we don't know, but the reality is that he says FBI did it, and he says that Facebook did it. So that's the truth. At the end of it, it was quite fascinating. They was like, oh, yeah, I don't actually remember. I don't know if it was that story, but yeah, but it fit the pattern. He, again, at the end of it, he already admitted that, it was happening. Joe, I can't say, but you know the truth. I just can't say it. There's a red dot on my forehead. But let me know what you think in a conversation, because again, these guys, I have no faith in any of them, especially when it comes to Zuckerberg, because they all hang out in the same clubs, so metaphorical clubs, obviously, with the big lobby and the big government officials. So it is what it is, and the FBI, they need to be more scrutinized at this point, and we'll see when the Republicans take over the House, and in 2024, when we have a Republican president coming back, hopefully, we will see what will happen to the FBI. Well, let me know in the comment section. Thanks again, guys, for watching. Subscribe to the channel. I'm Tousi, and we are the media.